Towson played another Charles Street rival last week. The Tiger Lacrosse Report, brought to you by the Green Turtles, starts now. Welcome to another edition of the Tiger Lacrosse Report. I'm your host, Spiro Morekas, along with the head coach of the Tigers, Shawn Nadelen. And Coach, the Tigers traveled, well, you had to hang a right off of Charles Street, but playing Charles Street rival Loyola over there on Cold Spring Lane at Ridley Field. And for the Tigers, it was a game to maybe show that the rough start could get better against a very quality opponent. And for a while there, you guys were hanging in, but then in the second half, things started to go south. What was the difference between the first half of play and the second half?
It was definitely some of our best lacrosse we've played this season so far. Through the first half, into the second, into the third quarter. I thought towards the end of the third quarter, we got out of our game plan offensively. We rushed some possessions. We were looking to really milk the clock a little bit more to, again, try to stay away from taking as many face-offs, try to keep the possession battle pretty even, give us opportunities there, but we rushed some opportunities and took shots that we didn't need to take earlier in the possessions. And defensively, we just had, again, a couple of really poor breakdowns where guys just weren't staying fundamentally sound, weren't doing their little piece to allow you to have success. We kind of had an answer at the face-off X during, I think it was about 3 face-offs into the second half, and felt like we were getting some momentum there, but we just kind of got off kilter there towards the end and couldn't get back on track.
On the defensive side, you're missing a key piece in Gray Bowden. How much has that affected things? And I know communication is huge for the defensive side of the ball. Is there a lack of communication because guys haven't played with each other?
It's always nice when you have good chemistry, and that comes from playing together and the experience. Not having Gray out there definitely kind of depletes some of that communication, and because he's got experience. Not having Kobe Smith playing,
also didn't have Kobe right.
wasn't playing in that game too, so we were starting a freshman in Reagan McNamara that had only been playing with the program since January because he was a mid-year transfer, and Saunders Healy, who's seen limited time as a senior. So it's, yes, there's some unfamiliarity. There's obviously communication. We expect it from everybody, but some guys can just naturally do it. Other guys, it takes them confidence within and playing the game to be able to communicate. So that was, I think, a little bit of our issue on the defensive end.
Shane Brennan, statistically had a pretty good night. How do you rate his performance on Wednesday against Loyola?
Yeah, Shane was definitely one of the bright spots. Like I said, thought we played pretty well through the first kind of 2.5 quarters, and we're in good position to keep battling and try to earn a win. But Shane was a guy that helped us get to that and did as much as he could. The fourth quarter ended up just, unfortunately, became a shooting gallery on him. They stuck some really nice shots. He made some really nice saves in transition as well, where we weren't getting much support, getting back into the hole and playing tough defense. Quick turnovers on the offensive end where they were getting down. So Shane battled, and that was definitely a bright spot.
So for you guys and for the guys that have been in the program, they're not used to this, and I'm assuming that the young guys that are in, most of them probably come from very successful high school programs. They're not used to this. What do you do to try to keep morale up? I mean, you've got a long way to go here and a lot of opportunities to win some big games, but guys can get down on themselves if things don't go the way they want for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, they definitely can, and we've obviously communicated to the team, communicated to the captains, kind of where we are. I want to hear from the captains what it feels like in the locker room and the team and stuff. And I've been impressed. I've definitely been impressed. And like you said, it can be challenging for the guys to stay focused and to stay hungry. But again, there's definitely some positives that we could take, kind of game to game. Coming out of the Loyola game, I thought we played pretty well, against a tough team, especially with our lack of experience, on the defensive end for that game. I thought we were sticking to our game plan. We were doing good things, but again, we just got away from it, and they spread a 2-goal lead into a 7-goal run in the fourth quarter, and we had 7 turnovers that exactly equated towards those 7 goals, whether it be failed clears, careless turnovers there, careless turnovers on the offensive end, came right back down our throat, and they scored goals off of it. So those are things that we can correct. Those are things within our control. So I think even though they might seem, obviously negative plays and bad outcomes for us, those are things that we can continue to focus on to get better at and make sure that we improve ourselves, which fortunately we still have the opportunity to do, early in the season here.
And the Tigers will not have a lot of time because they've got 2 games coming up this week against UMBC and against Georgetown. So for the head coach of the Tigers, Shawn Nadelen, I'm Spiro Morekas. Tune in later on this week when we talk about the Retrievers and the Hoyas. Again, the Tiger Lacrosse Report brought to you by the Green Turtle. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, go Tigers.